How to design a scaffolded reading experience, or an SRE, lesson plan. Here's the basic parts. Purpose statement, what you want to accomplish. This is going to focus on a narrative text, so students will read and enjoy. Insert story title here. If it's an expository text, students will read and understand. Insert title of chapter or article here. There is a pre-reading activity that enables them to read text that's just a little above their independent reading level, at their instructional level. It is a scaffold that you are going to provide, and I'll show you what these are. You always make a link between the pre-reading and the during reading. During reading, you should never, ever, ever use round-robin reading, because that doesn't reflect reality, baby! Instead, you should use silent reading, buddy reading, where they read to a buddy, or whisper reading, or some other thing, but not round-robin reading. And then a post-reading activity, an aesthetic response where they interact with a story element. So, let me show you some of these activities. These are 1 to 3 minutes top. Remember, the goal is not for you to do your neat pre-reading activity, but the goal is to get students ready so they can read and enjoy the story. All right, first of all, the story preview overview. Just like a movie preview gives you an overview and kind of sets the hook. In this story, Rachel comes home from an afternoon of classes at the local college. She is studying to be a special education teacher. Her ex-boyfriend, Bluffy, is a clown who performs magic at children's birthday parties. Read to find out what happens when Rachel and Bluffy meet for the first time after the breakup. All right, I provided a general overview of the story. This provides structure as students read, but I didn't give away the ending. Gave just enough to provide some sort of structure. The second one is a story map, and that's any visual representation of the story plot. It lays them out so you can see the events in relationship to each other. And again, you tell your students the key events to provide this structure as a pre-reading activity. This can also be used as a post-reading activity, and I'll show you that in a minute. Here's an example of a story map inserted within a lesson plan. And again, you would show this to students, describe the major elements. They would see that. This is a scaffold then as they read the story. Set the hook. In this story, Bluffy the killer clown hides in the closet with a knife. Read to find out what happens when Rachel comes home. Ooh, I want to know. Set the hook. Story grammar. Characters setting events. I could tell them one of these, all of these, or some of these, depending on how much structure I want to give. Maybe I'll just do one character setting event and say, read to find out what the other characters are. You adopt and adapt, but I'm giving some of the grammar, the structure of the story as a pre-reading activity. All right, that is the reading lesson plan. We are going to look at some post-reading activities. You're limited only by your imagination, but the purpose is to manipulate, apply, reinforce, examine an idea, concept, or story element. For stories, they should be fun, interesting, engaging, like the kind of conversations you would have with friends after a movie. And you want to be able to do it during the lesson, not as a homework assignment. I like to use Bloom's taxonomy, these action words, to give me some ideas to create my own. I can have students estimate, associate, apply, compute, calculate, or higher level ones. Identify, distinguish, break down, select, explain, contrast, combine, compose, formulate, prepare, appraise. They could use any one of these if I wanted to create and design my own activities or questions, but I will show you some others. Here's story grammar again. I may have introduced some of these as a pre-reading and then told students at the end, you need to find these or describe these things. Pre-post. Story analysis. You list interesting or important things that happened at the beginning, middle, and end. This is pretty open-ended, which is good. They are defining what's interesting or important. They are analyzing the story or chapter. Feelings chart. Each event is described through a different character's perspective. here's the event, and here's the different characters describing their perception or feeling of that event. Adjectives, I like this. Arrange chapter adjectives, most like them to least like them. They would do this in a reading journal or reading log. Describing adjectives, list 1 to 5 story adjectives that describe their day, week. List 1, the left, describe the connection to the right. All right, these are some different types of ideas. Adjectives are lives. Given story adjectives, students describe various events or moments in their lives related to the adjective. Big, describe something big in your life. Happy, something happy in your life. All right? Prediction. A prediction is a guess based on some clues. What will happen next? Next chapter or after the story. Don't just make a guess. Identify clues first, then make a guess. And here's a graphic organizer you could use. Some sort of character map. Wilbur, I don't like, I like to eat, I'm not good at anything. You use your imagination and creativity here. This is a character map. Fair, and things that demonstrate her fairness, her hardworkingness, her sadness. All right? These are descriptors. These are things in the story that relate to the descriptors. Limited only by your imagination. Comparing, a comparison chart, kind of like a Venn diagram. Similarities, differences. I can compare characters, setting, books. I can compare anything. Comparing T-chart. Billy Marble's bad day and my bad day. Here I'm making personal connections. Story analysis. And again, we looked at that before. But it doesn't have to be just interesting or important events. It could be really important, somewhat important, not important. Anything that gets them to evaluate and analyze things within the story. Plot profile. Oh, I like this. Identify 5 events in the story. You rate them from exciting to boring, happy to sad, near to far. Any type of criteria that you want. Plot profile. Story map, again, you did it as a pre-reading activity. As a post, they could make their own, or they could list elements related to each event. So they would kind of fill in, list things around each bubble. All right, those are some ideas.